Ever feel like you're living the same day over and over? Like
Mm.
you're stuck in a rut
Mhm.
following a script you didn't write?
Yeah.
Today's deep dive might just have some answers, even if they do bend your reality a bit. We're taking a deep dive into transurfing,
Okay.
a system of thought laid out in Vadim Zeland's Transurfingmodèle.pdf.
What makes transurfing so fascinating
Yeah,
is that it doesn't just tell you what to think.
right.
It gives you a framework for understanding,
Uh,
even influencing how your reality takes shape.
Okay, I'm all for escaping autopilot, so let's break down this framework. One of the first things that jumps out from Zeland's work is this idea of life as a game.
Right. And not in a dismissive, nothing matters kind of way. It's more like once you see the rules,
Yeah.
the patterns at play, you can make more conscious choices within the game.
So it's less about changing the game itself and more about upping your strategy.
Exactly. Zealand uses this great comparison of children playing versus adults working.
Yeah,
Both are completely engrossed in their respective games, right?
right.
But the child, they're innately aware of the game-like nature of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Adults, we tend to get bogged down in the illusion of it all, forgetting it's still a game at its core.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this reframes things. So, say I'm feeling stuck in that rut we talked about.
Yeah,
That's me playing unconsciously, blindly following the default rules.
right.
But transurfing says there's another way to play.
There is. And it all starts with understanding the power of intention. Not just wishing or hoping,
Right.
but actual intention as a force that shapes the world around you.
All right, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Yeah.
So, how does intention in this transurfing sense actually work?
Zealand breaks intention down into two types, internal and external.
Okay.
Internal intention is what we usually think of as willpower,
Okay.
pushing, striving, trying to force things into existence.
Hmm.
External intention, on the other hand, is more about aligning yourself with the flow of the universe, allowing outcomes to manifest in a way that seems effortless because you're working with, not against, the underlying energy.
Okay, I'm going to need an example because that sounds a little, well, mystical for my everyday life.
Sure.
How can I tell if something is the result of internal versus external intention?
Think about a time you were walking down a crowded street. Ever notice how someone can be completely oblivious, looking the other way,
Yeah.
yet they'll move just so, blocking your path, almost like some unseen force is orchestrating these micro movements?
Right.
That, in a way, is how intention, even on a seemingly insignificant level, shapes our reality.
You know, I've definitely had moments where I've decided I want something and it just kind of falls into place without me having to break a sweat.
Right?
Is that external intention or am I just lucky?
Could be both. And that's where transurfing gets really interesting.
Okay.
It suggests that by becoming aware of these subtle forces, by understanding how they operate, we can start to exert a more conscious influence on our lives.
So it's less about manifesting things out of thin air and more about understanding the energetic rules of the game we're already playing.
Exactly. And one of the key concepts to grasp here is the idea of pendulums. Zealand uses this term to describe energy structures that feed off our emotions and subtly influence our behavior.
Okay, pendulums.
Yes.
We're not talking about grandfather clocks here, right?
No.
How does a pendulum play out in real life?
Think about flash mobs.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, it seems, this group of people converges, all acting in sync.
Right.
There's an undeniable energy there, a collective intention that pulls people in.
Yeah.
That's a very simplified example of how pendulums work.
Okay.
They thrive on conformity,
Okay.
on getting us to play by their rules, even if those rules don't actually serve us.
So to bring this back to the life as a game idea, pendulums are kind of like these unseen players trying to dictate the game.
Precisely.
Okay.
And if we're not careful, we can get caught up in their games,
Yeah.
wasting energy on things that don't truly matter to us.
So how do we avoid getting played?
Right.
How do we even know if we're under the influence of a pendulum?
Well, think about a time you felt pressured to conform, to fit in, even if it went against your better judgment, or maybe you got swept up in a trend, a cause,
Yeah.
a way of thinking that deep down didn't resonate with your true self. Those are signs you might be dancing to the tune of a pendulum.
Okay, I'm starting to see how insidious this can be. It's not always some obvious external force. It can be these subtle pressures to make us doubt ourselves, question our own inner compass.
Right.
So if we're surrounded by these pendulums all vying for our attention, How do we break free? Is it even possible to live completely outside their influence?
Transurfing doesn't suggest we can exist in some vacuum totally immune to external forces.
Yeah.
But it does offer strategies for playing the game more consciously,
Okay.
for minimizing the sway these pendulums have over us.
All right, I'm all ears because honestly, this whole pendulum thing has me feeling a little vulnerable right now.
The first step is recognizing the game that's being played. Zeland talks about this idea of importance coordination, which basically means becoming aware of where we're placing excessive importance.
Okay, so less about the pendulums themselves, more about how we react to them.
Exactly. When we give something too much importance,
Right.
a job interview,
Right.
relationship, even a perceived slight, we create this excess potential, an energy imbalance that the universe will naturally want to correct.
So my anxiety about that interview, that is me giving it too much importance, which then throws things even further out of whack.
It can become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Wow.
But by consciously reducing the importance, reminding ourselves that it's just one event in the grand scheme of things, we release that tension, allowing outcomes to unfold more naturally.
So it's like taking a deep breath, zooming out to see the bigger picture, and reminding myself that I'm not defined by this one single thing.
Precisely. And once you've done that,
Okay.
you can start to work with the natural flow of energy, aligning your intentions with the universe's grander design.
Okay.
Zeland calls this intention coordination.
Okay. Intention coordination.
Yes.
Sounds a bit like going with the flow.
Right.
How do I actually do that in a way that still gets me where I want to go?
It's not about being passive,
Right.
but about understanding that there are infinite possibilities available at any given moment.
Okay.
Our intention acts like a rudder, guiding us toward the reality that aligns with our deepest desires, not necessarily the ones we're told we should have.
So I set my intention, and then I have to trust that the universe will deliver, even if it's not on my timeline or in the way I expect.
That's the core of it.
Okay.
And this is where the dual mirror comes into play.
Okay.
Remember,
Yeah.
one side is the physical world, the other side, the space of variations, that realm of pure potential. By shifting our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions, we change the frequency we're emitting, which in turn attracts a different reflection in that mirror, a different reality.
Hold on. So you're saying my thoughts aren't just happening in my head, they're sending out actual energy that's shaping the world around me.
In a way, yes. It's like we're broadcasting on a certain frequency,
Okay.
and the universe responds in kind, reflecting back a reality that resonates with that frequency.
So to bring this back down to earth, if I'm constantly focusing on what I don't want, that fear, that anxiety, I'm actually more likely to attract those things into my reality.
Transurfing suggests that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Our fears and anxieties become self-fulfilling prophecies because we're giving them so much energy, so much attention. But here's the good news. We also have the power to flip the script.
Okay.
By consciously choosing to focus on what we do want, by aligning our energy with those positive outcomes, we start attracting a more desirable reflection.
It's like that saying, where attention goes, energy flows, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this is where transurfing takes a particularly empowering turn.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about Zillion's concept of God?
Right.
Not as an external judge,
Right.
but as the creative force within all beings.
Yeah, that really shifted my perspective, not gonna lie. It felt much more expansive than the traditional view.
It's about recognizing that divine spark within ourselves, understanding that by consciously creating our reality, we're participating in a much larger creative process.
Okay.
It's not about blind obedience to some preordained plan, but about co-creating with the universe, each of us contributing our unique gifts and talents.
So if everyone has that power, that potential to co-create, what happens when we start bumping up against each other's realities? How do we navigate that space where individual desires clash, or, maybe one person's dream life is another person's nightmare?
That's where things get really interesting, because Vadim talks about this in terms of excess potential. When we get overly fixated on a specific outcome,
Right.
especially if it involves forcing our will on others
Yeah.
or manipulating situations to go our way, we create this excess potential that can actually backfire.
So it's like the universe trying to course correct to
Right.
restore balance when our intentions are out of alignment with the bigger picture.
Exactly. And that correction might not always look pretty.
Right.
It might manifest as obstacles, delays, or even situations that seem designed to push us off our chosen path.
Right.
But here's the thing. Often, those detours are actually redirecting us toward a more fulfilling outcome, even if we don't see it at the time.
It's like when you're so focused on getting that one thing, that one outcome, that you miss out on other opportunities that are actually a better fit for you.
Precisely. Transurfing encourages us to loosen our grip on those rigid expectations
Yeah.
and cultivate a more flexible,
Right.
open-minded approach to life. It's not about giving up on our dreams,
Right.
but about holding them lightly, trusting that the universe might have something even better in store.
Okay, that makes sense, but it's definitely easier said than done.
Yeah.
How do we shift from that place of forcing and striving
Right.
to one of trust and allowing, especially when it feels like everyone else is out there hustling and competing?
That's where the practice comes in.
Okay.
Transurfing offers a range of techniques for shifting our energy and aligning ourselves with the flow of the universe.
Okay.
One of the most powerful is called frailing.
Frailing. I don't think we've gone into that one yet.
Right.
What's that all about?
At its core, frailing is about shifting our intention from taking to giving.
Okay.
Instead of approaching interactions with this mindset of, what can I get from this person or this situation?
Right.
We ask, what can I offer?
Okay.
What can I contribute?
Okay, so it's about being more generous with our time, our energy, our resources.
It can be that, but it's also about something subtler.
Okay.
A shift in our energetic orientation.
Right.
When we're coming from a place of scarcity, of trying to grasp and hold on to things, we create resistance.
Right.
But when we give freely, without expectation of return, we open ourselves up to a whole different level of abundance.
It's like we're creating a more positive, expansive energy field around ourselves, which then attracts more positive experiences.
Exactly. And this isn't about becoming a doormat or letting
Yeah.
people take advantage.
Right.
It's about recognizing that true abundance comes from a place of inner fullness, from a willingness to share our gifts and talents without needing anything in return.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
Yeah.
It's not about manipulating others to get what we want,
Right.
but about transforming ourselves into magnets for the good that's already out there.
That's the essence of transurfing.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we are not separate from the universe, but rather integral parts of its grand design.
Right.
And when we align ourselves with that truth, when we start playing the game consciously with awareness and intention,
Right.
we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities we could never have imagined.
This whole conversation has been mind-expanding, to say the least. It's like we've been given a glimpse behind the curtain,
Right.
a peek into the operating system of reality itself.
And the most exciting part is that we all have access to this knowledge,
Right.
to these tools for transformation. Transurfing isn't just a philosophy. It's a practical guide for living a more conscious, empowered, and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. It's about waking up to our true nature as co-creators of our reality, recognizing that we have far more agency than we've been led to believe.
Right.
So to our listeners, if you're ready to step out of autopilot, to start questioning the rules of the game and writing your own script, I highly recommend diving into the world of transurfing. You might be surprised by what you discover.